headlines for today. We have analysis for you. We have detailed analysis, and I have a guest in the studio, Devo Kore. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Lagos. Morning, team. Cool as it is with us. You go depend them.
Lakunle, good morning to you as well.
Good morning, Pepo. Good morning, Shopper. Good morning, Divo. Good morning, Lucas.
Shakwe, good morning to you.
Good morning, Peppo. Wow, you guys remembered my name. This is cool. All right, and good morning to you wherever it is in the world that you are tuning in from. You can be up on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos and leave a comment while you're there. You can also listen online where we are www.smooth981.fm and send your WhatsApp messages in 20809 440 or just take it to Twitter and find us at Smooth981 FM.
All right, let's begin this morning with this headline from the Punch newspaper. Wike Tinubu meet in UK. PDP talks warbles. Now, there are strong indications that the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Bola Tinubu is intensifying efforts to get the support of the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike for the 2023 presidential poll. Devo, we come to you for this one. There's been a lot of talks going on in the PDP since Atiku decided to pick the Delta State Governor as running mate for the 2023 general elections. However, the PDP governor before that decision had said he did not want to settle as vice president. But we've seen a lot of meetings and what you tag anti-party activities ongoing here in Nigeria. And now there are talks about meetings with the APC in the UK. Some say France. But I want to take our minds back to 2014, 2015, before the election that saw this government into power. There were reports of some PDP leaders meeting with the opposition in France.
Of course.
Is this the same thing that is happening before the 2023 elections? Could it be some reciprocity on the side of Governor Wike?
Well, it seems that there's a lot of love in France and the UK when people go and meet. And when you call it anti-party, it depends on who's talking. We call it political romancing, right? Now, you see, that's why we sang the song. As it is with us, it go they pain them. It goes for everybody. This is politics. We've always said it. Politics is not about logic. When you try and apply logic to politics, you develop chronic migraine. Politics is about numbers and consensus. We keep saying this, and people still end up in tears. Now, in this situation, right, the PDP still or yet hasn't gotten their act together simply because the strongman in River State, Nyesom Wike, remains aggrieved. And this is coming from what we know, the spoiler during the primaries, where he lost out because he was tumble-wild, as some would say, and the VP selection, where despite the committee choosing him overwhelmingly, the candidate, Atiku, still chose Atiku. Since then, he's been fuming.
Okowa.
He chose Okowa, yes, sorry. Now, since then, despite the fact that he has even claimed that he's not going anywhere, he seems to want to stay within the party and create a bit of a storm, right? So we've seen this romancing taking forward despite the peace talks that the candidate has had for him, which came out unsuccessful. The BOT, that's the Board of Trustees of the PDP, still came together, and yet they came out unsuccessful because his claims, they said they could not attend to them. The first one being that IU, the chairman, must resign before the elections, and they said no, he would resign after the elections. Two, he said Atiku would go for one term, and they said no, that they can't even look at that because he felt that the PDP went against the constitution by allowing the presidency to go to the north instead of being zoned to the south. Now, on the APC side, APC had been romancing. They sent some John the Baptist and the likes of Fayemi, Showolu, Akete, and Fayoshe, who went to his Port Harcourt house. This time round, Tinubu and Wike and their camps were in London for, let's call it, a sweetheart discussion. We don't have the details, but the truth is, yes, when two various entities come together, you really wonder, what are they talking about? Now, some debates are coming around, okay, well, what about Amechi? He's a Rivers person. Doesn't he count? Well, it's coming out that Amechi, in quotes, really doesn't count because in the past two elections, his influence on Rivers' numbers haven't really come strong. The highest they did was 130,000, as against Wike that has kept Rivers firmly in PDP. So Wike is known as the strong man in terms of mobilization and numbers to be able to drive an election.
Now, that brings me to my next question. What is the voting strength of Rivers State, and why is Rivers State suddenly so important in the scheme of things for all the political parties, including the Labour Party presidential candidate who has visited the governor of Rivers State?
Yes, Rivers is important in two ways. One, Rivers is rich in polling numbers in the South South. Okay, now I think they have about
2 million.
yes. Secondly, Rivers is one of the top oil benefiting states. As you can see, there's a lot of cash that comes with Rivers. These two things, numbers and consensus, your consensus can be on cash as well. Now, let me say this so that people understand, because what's happening with Wike and APC is not new. Remember in 2015, if I'm correct, or 2011, Tinubu, who then had a stronghold on the Southwest, was in bed with the PDP when he couldn't get a consensus with the then CPC of Buhari. And we remember how a black private jet flew into the halls of Bodilon and a deal was struck. And what happened? Even when he went to the dock on corruption cases, they were quickly dismissed because of the government in power. That's called political romancing.
All right, let's drop it there. Thank you so much, Dave. We'll keep sending those messages to us on 0809 444 0981.
Listen, while you're busy talking about political romancing, let's talk about the other side of things. Electoral process incomplete without offenses commission. This coming in from this day newspaper. And this is according to the chairman of INEC, Professor Yakubu, who spoke in Abuja at a one-day public hearing on the bill for an act to establish the National Electoral Offenses Commission. But then, we also heard from EFCC who said, okay, what's the point of EFCC, the Ministry of Justice, the police, and even INEC, who already is empowered under certain parts of the law to go ahead and prosecute these offenses. What say you, Lakame?
I agree with you 100%. What I see us doing is that we are creating a commission from within a commission. The law, excuse me, the constitution amendments that's going to happen is going to involve removing certain clauses of the act of INEC itself. We're going to set up a commission. We're going to recruit new people. We're going to then. So what's the process that is what the INEC chairman says here is that this commission will be doing legal framework. This legal framework is talking about already exists in the act of INEC itself. We are going to have policemen on duty that day. They are going to arrest these people. They have they can read to them the charge sheets of why they've been arrested. They can go to court directly. I mean that should be the process. So if you create this commission, the police that arrest them does what? Fills the charge sheet, takes it to the commission. Then the commission goes to court or return them to the police to go to court or what exactly? We're just creating. In my opinion, I think that it is an unnecessary creation. And even if we're going to do it, it's not something that can be rushed between now and next year. It's going to take a long process because of the things that are going to happen. Here we are in this constitution. There's part of it that mandates the Attorney General to be the one to lead to supervise the prosecution of electoral offenses. That must have to be removed if you are creating this commission, because it will mean then that you are giving the same job to two people. So we would be needing to first amend the constitution to remove all those things that will affect this commission to exist. We would need to create a law, this law that they are still discussing. Then we need to recruit people into that commission before they can go. I don't think we can do that in 7 months. And I don't think that it is something that should be rushed. And we need to give it a deeper thinking than I think that has gone into it for now.
All right.
Let's take it over to Daily Post. Political assassinations. Osun government talks tough, warns war drummers. Now, the government has issued a stern warning to those beating the drum of violence and bloodshed in the state to desist, or they would be made to dance to their evil rhythm. Davo, please bring us up to speed with this one.
Yes, it seems that, how do they call it, gods of violence have been unleashed in Osun State after the election, and this is almost within the ruling party's camps, because they have accounted for the assassination of an APC chieftain, as well as a violent attack that took place last week on the First Lady, Kafayat Oyetola, of which hoodlums attacked a convoy, and many of her security personnel were injured. This also includes the attack on another APC chieftain, Kazim Ali, and also the abduction of the National Union of Road Transport Workers chairman at one of their branches. Now, with all this violence taking place, the police commissioner has put out a ransom for anyone who can give them information on the road transport workers chairman in Osun State. And this little disquiet, I would say, is coming on the fact that they seem not to have matters settled ever since they lost in the election. But I think that the security forces have a part to play here, because even though the government has warned at those who were discontent on drumming up war chords should desist, or else they will face the full wrath of the law. Even though politics is about numbers and consensus, it should never be sacrificed on the altar of violence. That's not the kind of country, that's not the kind of nation we want to be.
All right, now, very quickly, I would actually like to touch on this topic or this article that came in from the Daily Post. Sheikh Aisami, Buhari makes demand as police nab two soldiers for allegedly killing Islamic cleric. Now, this is Sheikh Goni Aisami, who was murdered, and in what's the president has said through his aide, an unprovoked and cold-blooded murder by a callous soldier that he had offered a lift, as confirmed by the police. Luckily, I'd just like for you to touch very quickly on this, and a speedy response, by the way, from the presidency on this.
Okay, so I want to assume that Mr. President is doing this in his personal capacity as um, Major General Muhammadu Buhari retired, because he speaks to his constituency, like he said here, as the commander in chief. I'm personally outraged by this criminal and wicked acts. By our training, we are guided by code of conduct and so on and so forth. So I'm assuming that he's doing that in his personal capacity. All right. So if he's doing that as the commander in chief and president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, this is not the first time. So I will take it with a pinch of salt. We've had many incidences of killings, attacks all over the place, and all we've had is um I'm outraged, I'm shocked, I'm disturbed, condolences, and all that. We will do whatever, whatever. And here we are now. This is now is not done by bandits or terrorists or whatever. This is done by people who are supposed. This is being allegedly done by people who are supposed to protect the civilians themselves. So there's something wrong with the psyche of the Nigerian in this case. I'm looking at that. Okay, so why would you offer somebody a lift, and then the thank you are going to be giving the person is to kill the person? And I think that the military authorities should cooperate with the relevant authorities to get to the bottom of this, prosecute these people, and not be seen that it's just all talk. We need to instill discipline in all places where discipline also be instilled. People should not be able to do things and get away with it. And that's the minimum that I can say about this.
One thing that I'd also just even to highlight, because this also comes across as the reactions to it has been, this defies logic. What was the rationale behind this? Where did it come from? Seems so unprovoked. And just digging deeper, it might be a case of also, what about the mental health of our armed forces, of our military personnel? Is that even something that gets into the conversation? We don't know.
Yeah, we would not know the exact details what transpired between the soldiers and the sheik as at the time this happened. But then, like you said, it's something to also worry about. What is the state of mind of these people as before, during, and after the events?
Because
we need to also investigate those things, and by extension, maybe we should also extend it to every other person in as much as possible within the military circles as well. Because if it can happen once, it tells us that it can happen again and again.
Because as a nation grappling with insecurity on a daily basis, we have been in a very high pressure situation, which is, as stress, as stressors are not good for mental health and mental chemical balance. So we now have these people who are the front lines of the fight. Are they being taken care of?
Yes, that's why I'm saying maybe we should extend it to everybody, possibly to test their mental health, to see what's their state of mind and stuff. So, but the important thing for now is to actually get these guys tried, prosecuted, and possibly exposed, so that we know who they are in persons, not just some random numbers.
All right, let's take a look at your messages coming in. Sam from WhatsApp on WhatsApp says, "Oh, we're not serious as a people where looted money becomes our foreign reserve. In the country where the majority of the populations are youth, how is it that we're voting for people who are much older to be advisors to the president?" And Sam goes on to say, "I pray that the youth wake up from their slumber and deliver the country by electing the right candidates."
Abacha died, that's why his loots were discovered. Many looters are alive today whose loot, when discovered, would make Abacha's loot a child's play. Wike's anti-party meetings is pushing his luck too far.
Wow.
This is beyond political romance. May he not regret his actions. Idima Puza from
I
Surulere.
see Dima Pooz is still on for Business Express. We'll get to that in a bit. Godwin from Bagada says, Wike is like a big fish. It can't swim in small waters. His place is either in the PDP or APC, but his jollof rice is becoming pepperish. He should be careful, says Godwin. Okay.
Dami from Ikeja, political class has always seen violence as a legitimate tool of achieving political aims. The violence in Oshun is regrettable, but not surprising.
And do remember, you can also tweet at us. And we are at Smooth981 FM. We'll see your tweets and read them out. You can also go up on YouTube where we're streaming live and leave a comment on that live stream. Let's take this last one in from James before we move on to our next story. James from Oshodi saying, I guess the Electoral Offences Commission would have their offices across the country and also have their yearly budgets as well as publish recruitment of personnel. More government jobs, more money to spend, and more corruption. The Attorney General will be biased because he may favor his party man, says James.
Let's keep it going. To the Guardian we go. US signs agreement to return $23 million Abacha loot to Nigeria. Real big story, but a lot of questions. Number one, this government is fighting corruption, and this seems to be, part of a corruption scale. I mean, from long time ago. This is not someone in this administration, by the way, but it tells the issues around corruption that we have to deal with. That's on one hand. Secondly, we hear almost all the Abacha loots that have come in this administration go to infrastructural projects. Second Niger Bridge is always captured since 2012, and then the Abuja Kano Rail project in 2020, when there was a return, that same project was captured. What is going on, Mr. Devo?
Yes, once again, with pride and joy, Nigeria's sugar daddy, that's Abacha, once again, blesses us with proceeds from his mutual fund. And you really know this comes not just because he loves us, but through negotiations with all the countries that this loot was stashed in. So in this instance, the government had been in negotiations with the US government through the Department of Justice and the UK National Crime Agency. And as they, gone are the days when immediately they find money of a sovereign nation, they just return it back. No, they've seen that most times when the money is sent back, it is re-looted, right? So what has happened is now those governments literally demand what we would call some kind of scheduling as to how that money is going to be used. So literally, the fight on corruption is coming from their side, not even on our side. I just wanted you all to know that. And in this instance, some could call it mental slavery or justice for Nigerian sovereignty. How can they be telling us how to use our own money? But the truth is, we all know how dollars get missing in this country, right? Remember, the country is lacking dollars, FX. So this comes very useful at this point in time. And that's why you always see it go to infrastructure. If you change $23 million in today's CBN exchange, you're getting 9.6 billion. But because there are a lot of dollar components for these infrastructure projects, that's why they listed the Abuja Kano Road, okay, the Lagos Ibadan Express. Hopefully that should be the final amount so that they can complete it, and as well as the second Niger Bridge. These are heavy-weighted infrastructure projects that need dollar support. So once again, Nigerians, we need to thank our sugar daddy Abacha once again. We love him, and we hope he continues blessing us with proceeds.
Let me just put in something here. So when they mention those projects are actually projects that's been classified, that's been supposed to be funded from the presidential something PDIF or something, presidential something on infrastructure fund or something like, I can't remember the exact name, and it is managed by the Nigerian
NSIC.
Sovereign
Yes.
Investment Authority. So it does not necessarily mean that it's only those 3 projects. There are several projects in that PDIF thing.
Now, I
So-
ask this
so
question,
the
Lakunle,
ones
just
that
a
we most
moment,
likely you
Lakunle.
will easily remember are those ones that they constantly mention.
I asked this question because the second Niger Bridge has a budget, and it started in the Jonathan's administration, went on to President Buhari's administration 7 years down the line. The funds that were budgeted for this second Niger Bridge, no one is asking. But every time we hear about Abacha loot, it is always said to be pushed towards that second Niger Bridge
Don't
project.
forget that this government at inception, there were a lot of back and forth about whether the bridge existed or not and what was done. And then a budget does not necessarily mean the money is waiting somewhere. It's a budget in a situation that when I have money, I will spend this money on this. So a budget may not necessarily mean money exists already. So this, what we hear from this benefit of the doubt, is that all these monies that are being recovered are being put in that PDIF fund being managed by NSIA, and it is from those funds that they pick to spend on all these projects that we keep hearing about. So there are more projects in there, but the easy ones that all of us see, that we hear about every day, are the ones that they mention. All of us travel to Ibadan most of the time. We hear people go to the east on Christmas period who are looking forward to driving over that bridge. So they keep reminding us of those ones, So, but there are others in there that this money is supposed to go for.
All right, Lakane, let me lead you on to our next story coming in from the Punch newspaper. ASU, parents propose 10,000 naira support levy for varsities. The National Parent Teacher Association of Nigeria just saying, what can we do to help? Let's sort this out. They're proposing the payment of 10,000 naira per session for each parent to assist the government in making more funds available for universities. They've sought an audience with the federal government over this lingering strike, and this is one of the solutions they're proposing. Let's hear from you.
Anybody who's listened to me when I speak about this already know where I stand in this matter. Okay, so the summary again is that both parties are right, but the ego that everybody is displaying in their rightness is really what the problem is. Okay, so now it's becoming laughable that things that, in quotes, adults should be able to sit down and understand themselves and come to an agreement on whatever it is that the issue is now becoming where we're now requesting third parties, fourth parties, fifth parties, pardon my use of colloquials, right? And so if these monies, these parents are going to donate, they are going to donate directly to the university. So if I have a child in that school and I say that I cannot afford the 10,000 because I'm already struggling to even pay the little my child pays in the school as it were. Don't forget, that's one of the arguments that why government must fund university education.
Luckily, can they
That
afford
parents
to
don't
have
have
their
money.
children out of the university?
I'm saying I'm coming to something. Okay, so if I say as a parent in the university that I cannot afford that, I'm already struggling with the little he's paying today, would that preclude my child access to the education? Don't forget, ASU's argument is that it is our money and government should fund university education. So would parents who can afford it pay for parents who cannot afford it? So sometimes when these kind of arguments are made, in its honesty or in its goodness, in its good intentions, we should also consider that majority of the people in there. The other day, I was having a conversation with a friend, and he was saying that the top 10% of Nigeria's earners are the ones who their children are in private universities. And I said, no. And somebody misinterpreted my no to mean that I don't acknowledge that there is poverty in this country. There are people in this country today, this morning, who don't have 5,000 naira. Yeah. And you say that that kind of a person whose child is in university should pay 10,000 naira. So that person would think that you are even his enemy much more than the government. So, and I think that, so in this instance, my point now is that we should be careful in making this kind of suggestions because, like I always say, everything that has happened to us in this country either by mistake, by design, by intention. Most of them are things that were done with the brainwave that, okay, it's supposed to be temporary, and we have made them permanent. You can list all of them. The subsidy was supposed to be a temporary thing. Um, um, Free education up to university level was not supposed to be permanent. We have turned it to normal now, and everybody is demanding it as a right now, and so on and so forth. So we should not start something that will not be able to sustain. The right thing to do is to get ASU and government to the table and agree to send our children back to school.
They've been at the table many times.
And that's what I'm saying, that the right thing to do, let everybody drop their egos wherever they need to drop it before they get to that table and have a conversation as adults. And get anything short of that is unacceptable by me, the individual. So we need to be careful in supporting this 10,000 naira thing before they turn it to something mandatory, compulsory, and then it will also disenfranchise people more than they are trying to get them back to school.
Once again, I would say even strikes are supposed to be temporary, but this is looking like it's permanent. Let's take a look at more stories and your messages as well. 0809 440 981. This one in from Emeka from Amor, who says, the Abacha family, how do they feel when all the money that Abacha looted in his short time in office keeps returning non-stop year in, year out? I would have changed my surname a long time ago.
Abacha is our ancestor that never sleeps.
Okay, Wike is just making this election build up interesting. Correct, our sugar daddy done normal as usual. Okay, I'm just wondering, whenever these loots are announced, how does the Abacha family feel? Same question
Feel
someone
great.
asked.
Daddy delivers.
Do they feel proud or angry? I think this should be a deterrent for office holders. I once met someone whose surname is Meina. The moment I heard the name, I had this particular look on my face, and she screamed, "No, we're not related. In fact, I wish I can change the name." 10K per session. This is one of our problems. Our mental construct towards tertiary education is just wrong. There are over 10 million children out of school in Nigeria. Is ASU deaf to this? Our focus should be on funding basic education and allow folks pay for their university fees. Federal government cannot solely fund education adequately, and ASU knows this. Why can't state government convert the bursary, the dole out to students' loans? University education should not be by force. We need focus on vocational and technical training, but ASU and federal government are just being silly.
I'm sorry, but if we have university graduates who cannot read or write, then something is inherently broken in that system. Luckily, we're going to have to keep moving on. Thank you very much with the messages. Ogano Chuko says, wow, $23 million. If you divided $23 million by $250,000, that's a cost of 50,000 megawatts for 5 million homes, which we can power through solar plant systems. Thank you for the math, Ogano Chuko. I'm done. Otunuga says, let us be careful of what we advocate for. Mention to us the number of rich countries in the world where university education is free. Oh, I know one where university education is free.
Germany as well.
I've not been there. I hear Finland.
It's paid for.
Denmark. It's nothing is actually free. Really.
Country. There's one where
nothing is actually free. Somebody pays for that thing you think is free.
All right, Fabian Inekbe is in with this message with respect to INEC. Well said, Wade. I'm not sure what it is here. It would be great if we can get to find out what has been done with the money from Abacha that has already been returned. Accountability has never been number one on these government's list.
Sorry, I just remembered. I had to look it up. It was Bahrain, because the government provides free educational services at all levels for citizens and expatriates.
And
okay, and
last quick person to ask accountability. In fairness to government, they don't touch the money. The foreign countries pay direct to wherever those infrastructure projects need sourcing from. So that's how they remain accountable.
Okay, and Jim says, sadly, cases of military men or people dressed in uniforms killing and robbing benefactors are not strange or isolated.
More messages coming in. I think we took this one already. Idimakuza, thanks for sending in. Dami from Ikorodu. University education in Scotland is free for indigents. Yes.
Paid by the Commonwealth.
All right. Thank you very much for being a part of the show, Devo and Lakunle. Let's do this again next week, Wednesday. Well, you can catch Lakunle on Twitter at Lakunle70. And Devo, mystery man, really. Thank you for being a part of the show today. 8:15, we'll take you right inside the locker room. She's Shakwe Martins.
He's Victor Peppo, and we are on till 10.
Okay.
The headlines.
Jesus.
That reminds me of yesterday's closer competition on Big Brother.